You don't feel behind for no reason. And you're not imagining this quiet tension you've been carrying. There's a strange mix happening inside you right now. Part of you feels tired of trying. Another part feels like something is almost ready, but not moving yet. And that's uncomfortable, because you've done what you were supposed to do. You showed up. You learned. You waited. You adjusted. So when nothing external changes, the mind looks for blame. Maybe I'm late. Maybe I missed something. Maybe others figured it out and I didn't. But listen carefully. What if this pause has nothing to do with delay and everything to do with becoming? Most people never ask that question. They assume time is something that either rewards or punishes them. But there's another possibility, a quieter one. That the version of you who wanted certain things is not the same version who is meant to hold them. And that difference matters more than effort ever could. If this message found you today, it's not random. Not because of destiny in a dramatic sense, but because something in you is already listening differently. There's a subtle shift happening, not loud, not obvious, but real. The kind of shift that doesn't announce itself until you look back and realize you stopped forcing and started allowing. Angelic guidance doesn't usually interrupt your life. It waits for a moment when your resistance softens, and right now, yours has. This isn't about money. It never starts there. It's about the identity that feels safe receiving more without proving anything first. And if you felt confused, restless, or strangely calm at the same time, that's often the sign. You're not late. You're in transition. Stay with me. There's a block most people never notice because it doesn't feel like fear. It feels like responsibility. You tell yourself, I just need to be more ready. I need to fix a few things first. I'll relax when everything is stable. But underneath that logic is a quiet rule you may have learned long ago. Nothing comes until I'm fully prepared. That rule sounds mature. It sounds responsible. But here's the truth most people avoid. You can't prepare emotionally for a level of receiving you've never felt safe with before. So instead of feeling unready, you stay busy. Busy improving, busy learning, busy waiting for a signal. And the longer you do that, the more the mind believes movement equals worth. Angelic guidance doesn't push through that pattern. It waits for you to notice it. Because what's actually blocking flow is not lack of effort. It's lack of internal permission. Permission to receive without justification. Permission to be supported without earning it again. For the American psyche especially, worth is often tied to output. So rest feels suspicious. Ease feels undeserved. Silence feels like stagnation. But angels don't respond to strain. They respond to alignment. And alignment begins the moment you stop asking, what else do I need to do? And start asking, what am I still afraid to allow? Here's the subtle part. Most people think fear feels loud. But this fear feels calm. It sounds like, not yet, soon, almost. And it keeps you safe, but small. If this is resonating, you might notice something. You don't actually want more effort. You want relief. That's not weakness. That's readiness. And when readiness appears, guidance gets closer, not louder, just clearer. There's a moment in every internal shift where you stop identifying as the person who is chasing, not because you gave up, but because chasing no longer feels honest. This is where identity quietly reorganizes itself. You may still look the same to others. Your routine might not change overnight, but inside, something releases. You stop seeing yourself as behind. You stop narrating your life as a race. And in that moment, timing changes. Angelic confirmation doesn't arrive as instructions. It arrives as recognition, a feeling that says, oh, this isn't missing, it's integrating. The version of you who struggled was necessary, not as punishment, but as preparation. Not preparation in skills, but in self-trust. because receiving more requires emotional steadiness more than ambition. And this is where many people unconsciously sabotage themselves. They try to bring their old identity into a new capacity. But the nervous system knows better. It waits until you feel internally safe enough to not collapse under ease. That's why nothing was late. You were becoming someone who doesn't panic when things finally move. Someone who doesn't grip. Someone who doesn't rush. Someone who doesn't question worth the moment support arrives. This is the identity shift. And once it settles, external movement doesn't need to be forced. It responds. Let's talk about safety. Not financial safety, not logical safety, emotional safety. Can you imagine receiving more without immediately tightening? Without scanning for what might go wrong? For many people, the answer is no. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means your system learned caution early. Angelic guidance honors that. It never overwhelms. Instead, it builds familiarity, little confirmations, quiet reassurance, a sense of steadiness. This is why things may have slowed before moving. Your system was catching up to your desire. And now, something important is happening. You're not bracing as much. You're not forcing clarity. You're letting moments be incomplete. That's emotional safety forming. And once it does, receiving stops feeling dangerous. This is where alignment becomes sustainable. You don't need to announce this shift. You don't need to prove it. Just notice the calm. That's the signal. If this message grounded you even slightly, that's not coincidence. That's resonance. So here's what matters most. Nothing is wrong with your timing. Nothing was wasted. Nothing needs to be rushed now. You didn't arrive late. You arrived different, more settled, more honest, more capable of holding what's next. Angelic presence doesn't reward effort. It supports alignment. And alignment is already happening. You don't need to declare it. You don't need to claim it. Just allow yourself to stop measuring progress the old way. Things respond to that, quietly, naturally, in their own order. You were never late.